Phases of the Moon, a 6th grade mini unit that is developed from Earth and Space Science 1.1 to develop and use a model of the Earth, Sun, and Moon system to describe the cyclic patterns of the lunar phases. And this mini unit also goes a little bit into the eclipse of the Moon or the lunar eclipses. The essential question are, what are the different phases of the Moon? And you can see a representation here of what we could see in the night sky, from a crescent moon to a half moon to a full moon, back down to a crescent moon. What causes part of the moon to be lit up then? Well, the moon is illuminated because it reflects the light from the sun. The part of the moon facing the sun is lit up, and the part facing away from the sun is in darkness. Thus what we call the dark side of the moon, compared to the light side of the moon. What exactly is the phase of the moon? Well, the lunar phase is the amount of moon you can see from the Earth depending on how much of it is lit up by the sun. This amount changes daily. So you see here you have the sun, it's light, it's hitting the moon, that light is being reflected back down to Earth, and that's what you're seeing. So on this side of the Earth, they'll be seeing a full moon. How long are the moon phase cycles? It takes about 1 week for the moon to go from one phase to another, and about a month to go through the entire whole cycle. So you see here on the calendar representation, you start with a crescent moon that moves into a half moon, which moves into the full moon, back down to a half moon, back to a crescent moon. That completes a cycle, and the phases start over. What causes the different phases of the moon, though? Well, the phases of the moon depend on its position in relation to the sun and the Earth. As the moon makes its way around the Earth, we see the bright parts of the moon surface at different angles. These are called the phases of the moon. So in this depiction, you can see the sun is always coming from one angle and hitting the moon from the light side, and the dark side would be coming from this angle. From the Earth's view, if you're looking at the moon of A, when it's there, it's going to look like a new moon or no moon at all. Where E, it's going to look like a full moon because we're going to see the entire light side of the moon. Where A, we see the entire dark side of the moon. And in between, we see all the other phases. So what is it called when a moon is growing or disappearing? So as the moon appears to be growing, it is called a waxing moon. And as the moon appears to be disappearing, it is called a waning moon. What are the different phases of the moon then? Well, there are 4 main phases. The first one is a new moon, the second is a first quarter, followed by a full moon, and a last quarter. In between these, we have 4 other ones that have to do with being a crescent moon, which is less than half full, or a gibbous moon, which is more than half full. And that's also where the waxing and waning moons come in. So you start with your new moon, the waxing as it's growing, waxing crescent moon, to a first quarter half moon, to a waxing gibbous moon, to a full moon. From there you go to waning as it disappears, to a waning gibbous moon, to a last quarter half moon, to a waning crescent moon, back down to a new moon. Thus the 8 different phases of the moon. When will a lunar eclipse occur then? Well, during a full moon, if the Earth, Sun, and Moon align and the moon passes through the Earth's shadow, then a lunar eclipse will occur. But why doesn't this happen all the time? You would think it would happen every time. Well, since the moon's orbit is inclined 5 degrees to Earth's orbit, then the moon normally passes above or below the Earth. Thus, only when things align just right will a lunar eclipse happen. And those are some references.